last time you did this where you woke up at 2 a.m. and you decided to just ride it out, you freaking hit a wall at like 2:30 and you were in the office and you were like, I gotta go. You guys, I'm like falling asleep at my desk. I actually might have just closed my eyes for a minute there. And it's like,
But see, I was up all night then. What I want you to know. Sorry.
no idea. Is that from a movie?
Yeah. I think last time that I was up like all night long, like I had like that just huge energy all morning, and then I was like crash or whatever. But I feel like this huge amount of energy still, because what happened is I was up all night. Then you were like called me in the middle of the night. You were like, "Where are you?"
I woke up and
I'm
you
like,
weren't there.
Yeah, and you were like, "Where are you?" And I'm like, "I'm in the man cave working." And you're like, "It's 4 a.m." And I'm like, "She's like, how long have you been there for?" I'm like, "Well, I've been there since like 1." And
Which is silly.
and she literally goes, but here's the thing: I went to bed early last night.
You
at
fell
like,
asleep
I fell
around,
asleep
like-
at like 8:30.
Yeah.
Like 8:30. So from basically, let's just round up to 9. So I already gotten 4 hours of sleep. So I felt good. You kind of stirred and woke me up, and then I couldn't go back to bed. And so I laid on my phone, I read some articles. And then here's what happens in my life. I'm not sure if this happens in other people's life. Like, it's middle of the night, and I try to listen or watch some reels without sound and just read them. And then I find that one reel, and you go, I have to have sound. Like, I have to have sound. So I hit the little plus button 1. So it's like just a little bit of sound. And I'm like, is she waking at all? Like, is she doing? But I can barely hear it because I have bad hearing, right? So I go, all right, I'll go to 2. So I hit the second one, and I'm looking over, and I'm thinking, I'm really pushing it, right? So then that's the indicator to get up and leave the room, go downstairs to the living room,
To
so I can
watch
turn my
a
sound
reel.
up so I can watch the thing, because whatever
You
that
should not
one
be
reel is.
watching reels at 1 a.m.
Yeah,
anyway.
I mean, I probably shared like a dozen reels last
Oh,
night.
you
for
guys,
friends.
actually, this is like one of my biggest pet peeves. And I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. He's so ancient when it comes to social media that he shares reels in text chains, people. So like, he does not share via private messaging in platforms.
No, why would
or
I do
tag
that?
people, because that's where people watch reels. They're in the platform, they click on it, you shared it to them, and they engage.
Okay, couple things.
When
One,
they're in the
I
platform.
didn't even know that was possible. But I only
no,
want to hear.
I've literally told him that every time he
I only
sends.
want to share it one time.
That's all you're gonna do. That's all that happens.
So I can share it one time to 10 people inside the platform.
Correct. And you can
I
either
don't
send it to
know.
them individually, or you
I
can
don't want to
send
do
it-
that. I
or
wanna
you can send it to a
one
group.
time. What group? What group exists?
Anyway, it's all possible.
No, no
okay.
way.
No, it is. And
Anyways.
so here's the worst thing ever is you wake up to like, well, I do. like 6 messages on my phone that are just social media reels. Like, I don't want to wake up to it's all these videos over hours.
I think they're funny
my
or
gosh,
enjoyable or educational, and I share them
and
with
so
you.
he sends them all, and you're just like, oh,
And then I
my
send them
gosh.
to like friend groups and stuff, and I don't feel guilty. So, like,
Usually, I
if
won't.
you have your
send,
dinger on and you get a ping in the middle of the night, then you want to get pings in the middle of the night.
Usually,
so that's
I
up to you.
won't send like a second reel if I haven't gotten a response on something else that I've already
No, I'm
sent
nonstop. Me and my brother send each other reels all the time
via text. I'm
via
sure.
text, and that's where I want it because I want to be able to go to it.
You
I-
can inside of the social
No.
platform. Honestly,
I don't know
though,
about that.
he doesn't even really go on Instagram very often.
No, I
He's
don't go on
definitely
Instagram.
like old man Facebook. And
Facebook's a classic. Come on. Now.
exactly like a very nice old car. But
Gosh.
anyway, it's like, I'll be like, oh, I tagged you in my story. And he's like, where? I don't see it. Is it on Facebook? I can't get it. And I'm like, no.
Hey, everyone's got their things. Some kids, you could probably talk to some kids and they'll be like, what are you talking about? Like old woman Instagram?
Oh, trust me,
like,
I know.
on TikTok, baby.
100%.
Like, you know.
Absolutely.
And then you have other people that are like, yeah, I'm like on LinkedIn. And I'm like, really? Like, you
I
can
actually,
post on LinkedIn? Like,
I do
so
think
bizarre.
that Instagram is something that is used by all ages. Like even the kids in college these days are pretty habitual about utilizing Instagram.
They're the Insta. So anyways, continuing on my story, what ended up happening is that you told me, you said, you need to get sleep. I do not want you to be crazy today.
This is
and
at
you
4
said
a.m.
that I had to get at least 2 hours sleep. And I
No,
said,
we have clients
go,
coming into the office. And I was
do.
like, last time you did this, where you woke up at 2 a.m. and you decided to just ride it out, you freaking hit a wall at like 2:30 and you were in the office and you were like, I gotta go. You guys, I'm like falling asleep at my desk. I actually might have just closed my eyes for a minute there. And it's like,
but see, I was up all night then. Anyways, you told me I had to get 2 hours of sleep. And then I responded with, but then that means I have to get up at 6, which is after 5.
okay,
And
by
I
the
was
way, guys, he came upstairs, laid down in bed, and this man was passed out in 30 seconds.
yeah, probably.
He does.
So there's a reason for that. But I mean, I always fall asleep relatively quick.
So fast.
I fall asleep.
He can
It
fall
goes all the way
asleep
back to
standing up.
college in the Army, which is, you had to get sleep when you could get it. And I could close my eyes and it didn't matter what's going on in the world. My body like knows if it's safe. If you walked in and you had books, I would stay sleeping, right? But if you walked in and had like a sword, I would wake up. Like my body could sense danger and I would just wake up.
Oh my gosh. He's also famous for like, it'll be middle of the afternoon. We'll have had, in fact, we were going to start with, we were in Pensacola last weekend having a great time. And you can, be out frolicking around a city. He'll have gotten great sleep the night before. We come back and it's like, maybe you got like 30 minutes of downtime. And you're like, you okay? You tired? And he's like, no, I'm not tired at all. 2 seconds later, snoring. You're like, what just happened?
It's emergency sleep nap. It's like nothing's going on. So when you're traveling, it's different. Like if I'm at home, there's always something to do.
Yes.
There's a project, something to be painted, hung, fixed, repaired, cleaned. Any of that. The list goes on and on. But when you're on vacation, something magical happens. One is that all those life responsibilities disappear. And you're stuck in someone else's home or a hotel and you're sitting there and you're going to yourself.
We should talk about the home we stayed in.
Okay. We'd like to affectionately refer to it as the shoebox, but no. It was actually really
No,
nice.
but you continue your thought process. You stopped dead in your tracks.
Anyways, when you're on vacation, like she'll sit there and be like, why are you so tired? We're on vacation. And I go, because it's so funny because you booked us to go on and you literally looked at me like, I really need you to relax. I need you to get some downtime. I need you to break free. You literally told me, can I get a promise from you that you will not work on Friday? Can I get that from you? Literally, you asked that. And I looked at you and you said, you can work as much as you want on Thursday, even while we're flying and arriving. You can do anything you want. But Friday, I want you to be 100% present. And I said, okay. And I really tried.
You did good.
And so I worked a ton on Thursday in the flight. I made notes. I did all this amazing stuff. And then on Friday, I was like, boom, game on. I kept my phone down. I
even said, if you want to wake up at 5 a.m. like a nut job.
and I actually did wake up at 5 a.m. until you woke up. And so I did work in the morning. But then I was relaxing. And then you're like, why are you just laying there and closing your eyes? And I'm like, I'm trying to relax. Like
for people who don't know me, I'm like, I have a problem with other people sleeping.
You do.
It's always been a problem. Like I don't sleep in planes, trains, automobiles, cars, houses. I don't like other people napping in front of me. It's like we are here to party nonstop. We will all sleep when we're dead. We're together. Like there's gotta be.
I don't know where you get the energy from, quite frankly.
No, and I don't sleep very well at night and I can rally. Like there is.
You rally better than anyone I know.
It doesn't matter how many days in a row I haven't slept. Like you bet your ass I'm showing up with energy. Like if there's an event going, if I ever don't have energy and something
You're
like
sick.
be concerned.
Yeah, be
something's
concerned.
wrong.
No, you can rally. I'm always so surprised. I'm like, how can you do this? Because you got on me for my sleep patterns, and I'm like, well, your sleep patterns are horrendous.
But I can handle it, and so
but I can't handle it.
No, and when I was a kid. If like my parents would come home from work, really my dad, if he was ever tired and he'd like be like starting to fall asleep on the couch before dinner was made or something, if there was like a funny commercial on TV, I would intentionally like laugh really loud to like wake him up or like drop something. Like I don't like people sleeping around me at
No,
all.
you don't.
I think it's
You've actually
so
gotten better since
weird.
we've been married.
Well, I think it's like especially let's say you're at like a family thing and someone like it's Thanksgiving's coming up. Everyone after Thanksgiving dinner. It's like
It's food coma.
You are in someone else's house. I don't care if it's family or not. You're gonna go upstairs and you're gonna fall asleep on
What do
the
you mean?
couch.
No, you're not going to go upstairs. You're going to just sleep on the couch.
Exactly.
Everyone's going to unbutton their pants.
Why I say that
lower their
because
zippers,
that's how I grew up.
Sit there, give their bodies some room.
We ate the floor below, and then literally it would be like a mass exodus. Like, peace out. I'm gonna go take my 2-hour turkey nap, and I'll be back for games later. And it's like, what is happening?
First of all, I don't even know if that's ever happened. I think you're
No, Ryan and Brandon always used to go upstairs, and my cousins.
no way.
Yes, they did, and take a nap. People would like claim their spots in the room, and then people are just sleeping and snoring, and you're like, what is happening? Yes.
That's like what is that? National Lampoons.
It feels
You know, where
like
like
a
everyone's
scene
like
out of
all
it.
the old people are kind of sitting around.
They're not. They
sleeping.
were not old.
All the grandpas are
Well,
sleeping.
in fairness, they were probably out partying. You know, the biggest bar night of the year is the night before Thanksgiving.
There you go, because everyone's coming in town. They're like, "Holy shit!" I
All
gotta
your
get there
friends are
tomorrow."
back in
Like,
town. Yeah, exactly. Then you
Yeah,
go eat
you're
a meal. You're like,
visiting.
I was so hungover until I ate that meal, and now I just need to pass the fuck out.
This year we're having Friendsgiving, and we'll probably talk about this more next week and stuff as we kind of prep and get ready.
It is next week, right?
Next weekend, not this
Oh,
weekend.
okay,
next
okay,
weekend.
okay.
But we'll probably talk about that and just inviting people and being like, hey, like
Yeah.
like you need to be present.
But-
no partying the night before.
I know, seriously.
So-
I feel like I'm going to jump back because my mind just went back to the Airbnb, but I do think it's important to talk about because we went, there's this whole thing about going on vacation, enjoying yourself, and either staying in a hotel versus an Airbnb. And I mean, we were staying for a few days, and so it was actually really nice to have the cottage itself that we stayed in, while small, was bigger than a hotel room, and really nice.
It was gorgeous.
It was really nicely decorated. They cared. They got nice furniture and stuff. But it was interesting because when we were unfamiliar with the area. I had never been to Pensacola before, and you have, but never stayed over there. And it felt close to the downtown area, which is why I chose it. And that's how it was promoted, had great reviews. But we drive into the neighborhood and it was a little bit sketch. It's kind of like an up and coming area. And so,
yeah, definitely some gentrification happening.
yeah, and it was
Older
interesting
homes, kind
because
of built Florida style,
we were just talking
crawl
about,
spaces.
when you're buying a home, if you're talking to a realtor, legally they're not supposed to say anything, but they're like, I would go drive around that neighborhood. And it's like, when you're booking an Airbnb, I never thought about it before, but we pulled up and I was like, ooh, I really should have like Google Street Viewed this.
Because you could see the house
Next
right
door
next to
that
it,
literally had
that-
like every piece of furniture stored on their front porch.
Oh
you know.
gosh, it was the Clampets. Next door was the Clampets.
It was
So
wild.
it
And
was-
so you feel bad too for these people who put so much care into their homes. We joked about the Airbnb where the guy got, unfortunately, there was a shooting in the backyard or whatever, but we had
yeah.
driven by the area before and
and
we knew it was a
told
bad
them,
area.
This Airbnb.
But
is
I
a really
feel
bad
like
area.
if these things, it was a learning lesson for me in life where I've stayed at a lot of different places, sometimes in towns that I'm a little bit more familiar with. And I was like, oh, I should have. And now that we've stayed there, I would stay there again.
I would totally
So,
stay there again.
Yes.
And it was relatively safe. It felt that way. But you know what? From an entrepreneurial perspective, and I'm not sure if I think you were this way too, and I'm this way, and I think a lot of people this way. When you do an Airbnb and you have a great experience, you're like, we could totally do this. Like, we should just go buy a house and
I
make an
do want to
Airbnb.
get into real estate.
And it's like this whole like it's thing where you
It's
just
a
like
mentality of like,
a
there's revenue to be
mentality
made here.
that we
I
just
know.
paid. I don't know how much we paid for that place, but what did we pay? What did we pay for that place? $600
What? No.
more.
Yes.
Oh.
We were there for like 3 nights.
I did 200 times 3. That's how I got to 600.
Yeah, it was more.
Was it?
I don't know. Let me check. I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, anyways, the
No, maybe
point
I'm
is,
wrong.
I think it was probably about $600.
Okay, I'm thinking of a different place.
Yeah, you're
I
thinking
don't
of a
know.
different
Stop
place.
asking me so many questions.
So, but the point is a couple things. One is going back to our budget banking roots. This all comes out of our vacation. So one of the reasons why we don't necessarily remember these things is because they're just budgeted. And
Well, and because you pay, like the way Airbnb works, it's like you book it, you pay half or all at the time of booking.
Right.
Then there's a secondary
And then 30
date where
days
you pay.
before you
Yeah.
pay.
So it was like in increments. And you're right. Like I did the secondary half was like $350. So like max, we maybe paid 600 or 7. It was a little bit different for us because, we extended a night, which because we extended, we had to pay in the moment of extension, which was like $80 plus. So yeah, it's probably wound up around
hopefully we
600.
didn't pay like another cleaning fee or anything.
No.
Anyways, like this whole entrepreneurial thing, like I don't know if other people are like me. Like you sit there and you go, "Golly, like this little cash cow." I actually had an Airbnb downtown years ago when I had bought a duplex, and it was a cash cow, and it was doing somewhere in the neighborhood of $12,000 to $14,000 a month.
A month?
A month.
Wow.
Here in Sarasota.
Yeah, we need to buy some houses and rent them out.
Well, we always talk about buying a house close to
Don't.
downtown.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say, don't give our ideas away.
Oh, I shouldn't say.
Well,
Anyways, we want to model
it's
after
so
some of our
funny.
favorite shows.
We actually
so we
always
have, like,
there's
an
so many themed
experience.
houses,
We
especially
wanna do
in
a themed
Orlando.
house.
In Orlando, but it is hilarious because we actually always talk about business and like NDAs versus frienda's and people who are like, oh, there's non-competes, and we were just having this conversation where it's you know hilarious to sit there and people are so protective over their ideas and their business and their client base and you know where your employees go, and it's like it takes a lot to actually have like the intellectual property to truly steal a business idea and execute and make it happen.
Execution's the hardest part of anything.
Yeah.
Everyone's got ideas.
Right. It's like, and even the people who have the ideas, like they haven't been able to successfully make it happen
Right.
themselves, or it would already exist. So they wouldn't be worried about someone else stealing
Yeah.
it. So it's funny that I'm sitting here going, don't share our
Well, we're in the
Airbnb
software
dreams.
world, and people literally come to and they're like, "Hey, you know, we're going to tell you our idea for software, and we need you to sign this NDA." And it's like, literally, a lot of times, nothing's really unique,
What's your
right?
favorite word today? Literally.
Literally is my favorite word today. literally is literally my favorite word today. Yeah.
There you go.
And so what ends up happening here is I get these NDAs and they want you to sign them, and I just sign them. I actually, you know what I do now? I don't know if I've ever shared this to you. Anytime someone sends me a document to sign now, you know what I do? I actually put it in ChatGPT and I say, please review this document and highlight the five most important things that I should be aware of that could affect me personally or my business. And then it comes back and it's just like, okay, here's 5 things. And if the 5th thing is like, this is like a nothing,
Then
like,
you know it's
then I
gone
know
through it
that
all.
anything else is like, if the 5th one is like something that's kind of serious still, I'm like, okay, I need more than the top 5
Yeah.
things. And then I kind of use that as my quick gauge on to check these documents because people send you shit all the sign. And it's like, okay, it's like 7 pages.
It
And I'm
is
like,
great.
am I really going to read this?
Well, and I think the documentation, and contracts, and legalities, and whatever. I mean, the amount of paperwork that's sent over. Sometimes I sit there and I'm like, I could literally be signing my life away right now.
right. Well, those are
you
mortgage
know,
documents.
Oh, mortgage documents, when you go to buy a car. I mean, and you're going through, and oftentimes you're sitting there in front of somebody else, whether it's a notary or a title agent or the, you know, person who's the manager at the car dealership. You're like in front of them and you're sitting there going, are these people really going to, if you truly read every word on a contract that you're signing,
Oh my gosh, you're gonna hate me.
you'd be there for what?
Yeah, I'm at the when we close on property, I'm literally there forever.
Are you?
Yes, I skim every page. I initial the bottom right hand corner of every page, and the reason I do that is because when it gets scanned in, it's probably good and bad. One is that if there's ever something in there, I know that my initial has to match and uniquely on that page for that. If there's a change, I get kind of paranoid, you know.
Oh, that people will change documentation.
Yeah, they'll slip out a page. and
See,
it's like,
I'm one of those people. I
firstborn
say it with
child
everything
page.
in the.
I swear to you, firstborn child was not in this document. It's like, no, it's there. But if I initialed it, then it's like, it was there and you initialed it. It's like, really? Wow.
Firstborn child
Yeah, it's just like a saying. You know?
purchasing a property.
Yeah, yeah. It's like, you know, they want everything from you. It's like, you know, It's like, man, I sold my soul. I even sold my firstborn child.
Okay.
It's
Don't
like, it's
do
like
that.
an expression. Yeah, no, we're not going to do that. So, anyway, we had an amazing trip up in Pensacola.
Yes, we did.
We got the Airbnb buy another house bug. And we're kind of, and I think part of that is because we are in this whole SBA loan.
Well, wait, before we go on to
Oh, okay.
SBA loans, we haven't even talked about
Why we're in Pensacola.
you jump around. Well, Pensacola was beautiful. It's got a lot of really cool places. There's Pensacola Beach, goes out and there's like some really cool
Right.
forts and everything that we went and visited. And it was kind of crazy because we are wherever we travel or whatever we do, I feel like we attract hurricanes, because after the two hurricanes that we had here, we were headed to Pensacola, and Raphael, this storm was like forming in the Gulf, and it was going to come straight
Pensacola.
up for Pensacola.
It's
And
supposed to be
it
rainy
took
all
a
weekend.
huge left turn. So thank goodness.
And then like died. In the
yeah,
middle of the
it
thing.
actually was one of the rare
When we
storms.
got married, like a hurricane was
Yes.
coming all the way up to Boston.
No, Portland, Maine.
Portland,
Like, I
Maine.
don't think Maine has ever been hit before or after, but the weekend we were going to get married, it was like, yeah, you're.
It's probably comes all the way back to my land development days when we were clearing a big piece of property for land development, and I found like some Indian bones, and I was like, no one will miss these, and I put it in my back pocket, and now I'm being followed.
What?
Yeah, it's like the Indian curse.
That is the craziest thing I ever. Actually, it's so weird you just brought that up, and I cannot remember where I heard it, but people were talking about like hurricane season this year, and something was said about how someone messed with the Indian burial grounds this year.
I know. That's why I just said that.
So it was
The
you.
burial grounds have been disturbed. Look,
It's not from you years ago. Someone
like-
just recently disturbed them.
I don't know. I don't know what the
Because that's the whole thing. Sarasota, Florida's in the Gulf, and
And we're
it's
protected
protected
by
by
these
the
Indian
Indian
burial
burial grounds,
grounds.
because the storms always turn. Well, this
always
year
turn.
it didn't turn.
It didn't turn, but it died. So it
Yes.
literally was scared and weakened by the Indian burial ground. But it reminds me of like when we were developing property back in the early 2000s that in Florida, you have gopher turtles and stuff. And they do
Oh, yeah, they're protected.
gopher turtle surveys where you're walking, right? And so here's the thing, like, and this is illegal, but you
Please.
cannot, like, when they
Oh,
go, they
boy.
do like a grid, and they're like, okay, like we found this many turtles in the grid, and so if we walked 1/4 of the property and we found one turtle, there's probably 4 turtles on the property because you can't walk the whole thing because it's dense forest and stuff. Now, I have walked these dense forest things because I was in the Army and I'm a scout, and I'm walking, hundreds of acres with these environmentalists. And I'm basically watching and tracking them. And there's been so many times when I would see like a turtle hole, and I would like grab a palm prawn and just like set it over the hole.
And what people don't understand is that if
You have to
there's
pay
these
for these
turtles, they're
turtles.
protected. You have to pay to get them
have to pay to
removed.
move
It's tens
them.
of thousands of dollars. We actually have friends who have gopher turtles in their backyard, and
backyard.
it's like it's this nightmare of like the turtle saga.
Yeah, it's
You
turtles.
can't touch it. You
Can't
can't build a
touch them.
pool. Like, it's horrendous.
Yeah.
but
I can't have a pool because a turtle decided to live in the corner of my property.
and you can't
And you're
move
like,
it
and
because it would
the
cost
first
more
problem
than your
is someone
pool.
coming out and looking at it. Like if you see a turtle in Florida, you just, I didn't say this, but
No, don't say it then. Just don't.
There's other homes available.
No,
out there.
just stop. Just
Dynamite.
Don't say anything. No, just put like a headband with ears on it and call it a rat.
All right. Yeah. Do something.
Oh my gosh. But we were in Pensacola because Bree is getting married next year, and we were going to go and check out the city, things for people to do, and go see the venue where she was going to get married. And it's so interesting actually because a lot of venues are like rustic barn venues or even modernized venues, and you can bring a lot of your own like decorations and things. Typically, they have the option for you to buy all the linens, and you can do like a mix match. And so we were talking with them. The woman at the venue kept mentioning Temu as an option. You were like, "Is Temu even good? I see it all the time." Like,
Temu seems to be like the most scammy website. It's like
Well, so a lot of
something's
people-
clearly, it's like $100 item that's clearly $100. And it's
Right.
like, you can get it on Temu for $12. And you're like, no, this is a scam.
well, and what's crazy, so I've never actually purchased anything from
Me either.
Temu,
I'm scared
but I
to buy
do
something
know
on Temu.
people who have, and they've gotten a
Have you
lot
bought
of
anything on Temu?
Maria,
All right.
Maria's
All
brother.
right. So Maria Brothers has gotten.
We normally don't out family. We're outing Maria's brother right now. He buys off Temu people.
Is your brother still alive?
But so I've actually heard some people say that they get high quality, not high quality, but like that it was what they expected. They paid a
Right.
lower price
It's a
and they
Chinese
lucked
knockoff.
out and got like a lower price. And I think they've gotten a lot of flack over get loopholes in the import game. Like they're able to charge less because they are getting imported goods. I don't know if it's illegally or they're true loopholes that it's genuine, but Amazon just
Yesterday?
yes,
Launched what? Haul?
Hall.
Haul.
Yeah.
It's just an app.
It's just an app, and you read my notes.
Yeah, I read the notes.
It's just
I'm acting like I totally know. I haven't even
It's
checked
just
it out. I'm
an-
gonna check it out.
it's just an app, and they're trying to combat Temu. And there's another company too that I actually hadn't heard of. I don't know if it's European or not, but it's all the cheap goods, and they're essentially saying like if you purchase $25 or more that you can get the free shipping. But people are sick of waiting forever to get their product.
So when I think of Temu, what I think of is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. We're talking original. Like we're talking like 20 years ago, and when Shredder and all the people were basically stealing out of vans, and then they had this big warehouse with all the stereos and everything else, and they were selling it. And then like of course, April O'Neil is sitting there like
Who? What did you just say?
I said April O'Neil,
Okay.
the reporter on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, April.
Oh my gosh! So April's like sitting there, and she's like the rampant crime spree, and it shows like all these ninjas stealing stuff. But anyway, I think Temu. I always when I see the cheap stuff, I'm thinking the crime syndicate with Shredder and all his minions have created Temu to steal things and then have a legitimate source to get it out. I swear to you, that's what I think every time.
Well, that aligns with the fact that you think it's a shady business. But it is interesting because a couple of years ago, well, a lot of years ago now, probably 10 years ago, Cupshe, Cupshe, is a bathing suit brand, which is now bathing suits and clothes and whatever else. But they were kind of first introduced on social media platforms, at least in my eyes. I don't actually know. I haven't done the research to know how they like launched their brand and got out there. But I thought it was some Chinese company, and not that there's anything wrong with Chinese companies, but I thought it was a company that was like lower cost, potentially not as high quality of goods. And this is my cord
Yeah, it's just
messing with you.
bothering me.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
It's okay.
And so I ended up buying some bathing suits, and I was like, this is actually really high quality. Well, now they're on Amazon. There's a lot of famous, reputable people that actually have like lines of clothing and partnership with them. So that one turned out to be
Legit.
and everybody knows it now. Now you see, I would honestly say 50% of women know the brand, and if they're wearing a bathing suit, it probably came from them, or they own at least one from that brand. Like it's definitely well known.
And you know what? We've done manufacturing for product. Obviously, we have investments in the toy industry, and that's all made in China. We've got we invested in a project for babies that was made in China, and there was quality things like we'd go back, we'd send things back, we'd do checks and everything, and I've had great experiences working with some partners in China. But it's always funny because when we get stuff, I always say, we got to wash the China off because the stuff is manufactured in places that do not have the rules and the regulations that they don't have OSHA and these other type FDA and these different protections in place that the United States does. And so you just have to be careful.
It is interesting. I used to work in the large format print industry where a lot of the papers and vinyls and different materials, not a lot. I mean, they were manufactured all over the world. There was different headquarters where there's like specific technology that's utilized for the coding of the printers and whatever. And there were some that were made and manufactured in China. But to your point, like there aren't always the same regulations that they have in the United States. But when you're manufacturing paper that then needs to be coated and you're going to end up printing on it, like you couldn't even have like a molecule of dust on it. So it was actually pretty amazing how clean the facilities would be. Because our product managers would have to travel there.
And
This
to your
was
point,
14
when you
years
look
ago.
at like chip manufacturing and other things, there are things that do
That have
require
to have.
a super high standard of
Just
that.
for the product
and
to
that's
work.
there.
Yeah.
But if you've ever been over and I haven't actually been into China myself. I've actually been more like the Korean, but I've been a lot of like Korean factories and stuff. And I was always amazed at not the, kind of like the conditions of the factories, right?
Well, I mean, Japan is one of the cleanest countries in the entire world. Most organized.
But most people don't think of Japan as cheap goods, though.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean?
Not at all.
Usually Japan is associated with more high quality, whether it's linens and silks, or electronics, or cars. Like,
Absolutely.
I mean, they are doing that, and unfortunately, it's the blemish that'll for China over time, right? And what happens because their economy has been booming for a very long period of time.
Yeah.
But going back to this idea of cheap goods and everything, we're probably not gonna, I don't want to necessarily talk about wedding stuff today because we got a whole year. But we are, and you will get tidbits over throughout 2015 as we prepare for Breathe
2015, do we just go back in time?
2025.
Holy shit.
Oh my gosh, 2025.
You okay?
Yeah,
You didn't sleep very well last
I
night.
slept fine.
Yeah, no,
So yeah,
we'll
we're gonna walk through those
share.
adventures and what we find. But from a business perspective, if you're making a product, we actually had someone the other day that made a comment about I can't remember where I heard it, but it was basically how Amazon, and don't shop on Amazon because it takes away from small business. And it's like, well, Amazon is small business. Like we're on Amazon. There are, I don't know the percentage, and I'll actually love to Google it, but most of the products on there are made by small businesses, and that's their outlet to get it
Yeah,
out.
definitely.
So,
I know. I've known some people that are like, don't, support it. And I mean, we're obviously Amazon fiends, but we're planning a lot of events coming up. We've got even your
oh my gosh, we're like
25-year.
officially event planners for 2025.
I've been an event planner my whole life. Now I'm just living my best life, helping facilitate all this. But we've got like Friendsgiving. We're
Yes.
helping plan a shower. We've got the 25-year
college reunion
class
coming
reunion. We've got a wedding. It's like
it's going to be
It's
a
gonna
fun,
be a busy year.
next year.
It is.
And one of the benefits of having a company, and and people can talk about where the gray line exists, but a lot of times if you have a company, you're able to use company revenues to offset costs for things. Whether it's little things like we do plans all the time, like. And so if I want to have one of my team members draft plans specifically for a wedding venue to make it look great and to kind of outline things out, those are costs that I would have come out of pocket personally to do, but I can use the company to do that. And I'm driving down my revenue, my pre-tax revenue.
Yes, and I'm sure people are listening going, what in the world? Because it is a bit of a gray area, but it depends on what kind of worker you have. Like if you have a salaried worker that is employed for a company that has a very specific role for that company and brand or whatever it may be, I mean, sure, there's managers that have people do side projects all the time. Sometimes that can be frustrating for employees because they're not there to work for, the owner or
No,
CEO
it's not
of the
the
business.
manager; it's the owner of the company.
But anyway, well,
manager should not be having team members
do personal
projects.
But if you are contracting someone, let's say, and you're giving like a lump sum for design on a monthly basis that you'd be giving them no matter what, it doesn't matter what projects you're sending them,
Right.
whether it's for the business or not, you've chosen to contract design work in general. That's when it can be beneficial that you're already paying someone because we do have enough work to fulfill a contract agreement with somebody that we can add small things on top of it.
Yeah. This is where I get in those conversations where like our bookkeeper's like, "Hey, can you explain what this is?" And I'm like, "It's work." That's all I say.
I don't even. Yeah, I'm very much so a rule follower. So
I follow the rules too.
I'm by the book.
Government allows me to do that. So, well, it's one of the reasons
pros
why you
of
see these guys
educating
that have
yourself
like,
on
I always look at
taxes
it and go, how does that guy afford that truck? Like, and knowing the business they're in, it's, vehicles are one of the most common expenses that a business usually pays for. And there is a personal and business use of that vehicle.
Well,
And
even
so,
I mean, if you're a 1099 employee and you're doing work from home, like you are literally giving the square footage of your house to be incorporated in your tax write-offs because
Yeah.
you're utilizing space in your own home for your physical office because you're
I'm
not
just saying
paying rent
that's
somewhere else.
That's like amateur level. You gotta amp it up to like Superman level.
Whatever. I'm just giving
serious.
another example.
Oh, I know
Good
you
for
are.
you.
I know.
I don't know. I don't know. Speaking of small businesses,
Okay.
what?
Speaking of small businesses, that was a lead in for another thought.
The SBA loan. We're off.
Oh yeah. So SBA's got some great programs, and we've made a couple offers on the building that we're in, and we'd love to buy the building we're in, and we'll be at a year next month in this location. I really did think when we signed the lease, the way the things were going, that we would basically be like, hey, let's make them an offer, and they would go up. But they're very dead set on not selling, and so what that means for us is that we need to find another place, and
And
it's
we
just,
could rent, but we want to buy.
I don't want to
and in
rent. I
order
really just want to buy
we need
another
to get an
building.
SBA
And
loan.
Yeah, and so the SBA loves, so if you don't know this, the SBA loves owner occupied buildings, and they will fund you because the default levels are extremely, extremely low on an owner occupied building.
Explain default levels. What do you mean? Like that someone
So
would be able to make payment.
When people are looking to give loans, they judge you based off of all kinds of things: how much revenue you have, your FICO scores, your Duns and Bradstreet scores, how long you've been in business, all these different things, right? And then they have like a default. They're like, you know what, based off of all this, there is a 3% chance of default, for this person to if they're buying this asset. However, if you're owner occupied, so like a regular investor, right? So if I'm going to buy a building and let a tenant go in it, if I can't get a tenant to pay the rent, that's got to come from the investor's pocket, right? And if there's a higher chance that an investor will let a property go to default because there's no recourse in the sense that it's just a building and it's empty and I can't get rent, I'm going to let it go. Whereas an owner occupied building, like this is my livelihood, this is my business, I'm going to make sure I pay my mortgage every month. And so the default rates are way lower for owner occupied.
Well, and it is so true. It's like like anything, if all of your eggs are in that basket, you're going to come hell or high water. You're going to
make sure that
happen.
things met.
Yeah.
Right. And so we've been experimenting and meeting with some friends in the business that I've known for quite some time to lay out, what the options and where we could be at potential wise. And we've looked at some buildings.
It is amazing because, again, we've talked about imposter syndrome in the past, and forget imposter syndrome. It's like people just don't, like a lot of people have dreams and ideas, even if, you're scared to share your ideas. It's like very few people are motivated to go and take on risks and liabilities that would put them in a position where they need to, show up and make it happen. Like,
right.
You're kind of putting everything on the line, and you're definitely one of those people. What's amazing is as we have conversations with brokers and realtors and whoever is lenders, anyone associated with what could help bring some of these deals together, they have not only dealt with a lot of these situations with entrepreneurs that are interested, but also it's amazing how creative they get in trying to bring a deal to fruition. Obviously, it's commissions for them, but it's truly
people do
they
work
want
with people.
Yeah, and they want to support.
They want
like
to make a deal happen.
They want to make
because
dreams come true.
Everybody gets paid on deals happening. And, you kind of brought up a good point. I'd like to touch on it, which is, I'm definitely the risk taker in our marriage, and you are definitely like I'm the reality. So literally, we could look at a building that's $50 million, and it requires $10 million down, and I'll be like, we will find a way. Like, and you're like, bro, there's no way.
If
there's
we had
no way
$10
we're going to do that.
I wouldn't be sitting here looking at this building to start a business. Like, if you can figure out how to get the $10 million for the business, let's just take the 10 million and then go live a life. Like,
but that's the thing. It's just like, I'll sit there, put together our net worth sheet, and you'll be like, why does it say 2 kidneys? I'm like, I got 1 kidney that's worth 20 grand. My wife's got 1 kidney that's probably 15. She drank a lot more in her early life.
Is selling my kidneys. It's like
literally. You sit there. You got to build out your net worth. We should actually talk about creative ways to build your net worth as a podcast item, because having done through this, a lot of people leave things off that are valuable, and especially IP in the world. There's things
like a kidney.
Like, I'll tell you what, no. I would basically put medical device investment. They'd be like, what is that? I'd be like, that's my left kidney. Yeah, it's available.
You would never.
But the idea here is, and we'll go back, is I always like to sit there and go, try to put together a plan and where you want to go. Don't necessarily look at the money, because a lot of times you'll fall short. And here's a great way, another thing that I can mention in reality. So we were boat shopping a couple of years ago, and everyone that I talked to who bought a size boat, they said, you're buying it based off of what you think you can afford today. They go, but these people, they're like, we wish we would have gone up and gone up a size because we didn't really look at the future and what our needs were for the future. And I say the same thing about your business. If you need 5,000 square foot today to move into, and you need a rent or anything like that, and you anticipate growth, like you're like, you know what, I'm not going to settle for this. You should be looking for whatever that growth looks like for you a couple years down the road.
Yeah, because you want to be in a
grow
space.
into space.
Exactly.
You do not want to have a space that just fits your needs today, unless you're not going to grow. If you have a simple product line and let's say you're a cabinet builder, you say, I'm going to build 10 houses worth of cabinets a year. I need 1,000 square feet, and I'm not going to go any more than that. Then get your 1,000 square feet. But if you're a cabinet maker and you're saying, I do 10 houses a day, and my goal is to get to 30. And I know based off of that I need 2,000 square feet to hit that goal, then get the 2,000 square foot and fill it up, which is the year 2024. I called the year of the goldfish. And for us as our company, I actually should put that in my presentation for next week, the year of the goldfish. And the idea is, and this is actually scientifically proved wrong, but everyone says it's real.
Bear with you.
Bear with me, which is if you take a fish, a goldfish, and you put it in a small pond, it'll actually stay small. But if you put a goldfish in a bigger pond and you feed it, it will grow larger. It'll grow to the size of its environment. And there might be like one species of goldfish that does that. But the point is as you're looking to grow your business, as we're looking to grow our business, I'm sitting there and going, what is it that we need in 2026? And let's build towards it. When we moved into our building here, there was 6 workstations and only me. And you had an office and it was empty because you worked at another company. And your mother, I think it was your mom, and she walked in, we were giving a tour, and she goes, why do you have so many workstations? And I said, because this is my indicator to fill them up. Mm-hmm. Because my goal this year is to fill up all these workstations. And as we're designing out the next building, I think I have twice as many workstations. So I think we have 8 now. The new building has 16. And it's like, are we going to bring on, how, and that's just people who are doing computer work,
local, yeah.
not all the other jobs and things that we have.
Right.
So I sit there and I go, you know what? If we create it and we sit there and we go, okay, these are for team members, and you literally put their names on it. Like, hey, this is going to be this function. This is going to be this function. And you know where you want to be. Have the space and you will fill it because you're putting it
I'm still
into the
thinking of like the goldfish analogy. And I mean, I don't know. Goldfish are pretty small. So whether they're in a tank or in a pond, they've got a lot of room to grow. Makes me feel bad for like the whales at SeaWorld because they can like only just turn around.
Well,
in
here's
tanks.
the thing. Those tanks are super deep. Like it's really kind of like when they go down there, they're kind of small. Anyway, before I forget, in the middle of last night, there was a video of this guy releasing a baby turtle. And it was like in our marina, right? So it's like a seawall. And the guy's going,
by the way, this is not recommended. You shouldn't do this. You're probably putting, species that are not native into.
No, it's like a little sea turtle. And he was putting the sea turtle into this marina. And he's like, he goes, okay, little sea turtle. Welcome back to home. And he drops in the water, and this fish comes up and swallows it whole. And it was like a pause. And then the video guy, the guys that filming, goes, dude, I think that was a fish. I almost shared that one with you too.
I'm glad you didn't. That would make me really sad.
I know, because you're biology and sea turtle saver. So
yeah, only so many turtles out of every nest make it.
So anyways, back to SBA. You know what? A lot of opportunities if you're looking to grow your business and you need space. If you're in that level, my encouragement to you is if you plan to grow, is think bigger. And then there's some really creative financing things. When we close on our building, we'll share how we did it and let everyone know, like, hey, here's a great technique that was brought to our attention. And we can share how that goes overall.
We're learning a lot
because we've learned quite a bit there.
Yes. Well,
I'm not really sure what you meant by this one here.
Well, we're out of time. No, we've got a couple things on here, which one of the things that we will mention and leave with today is just that it was Veterans Day on Monday. We are a veteran-owned company.
Yes, we are.
Thank you, Chris, for all of your service.
Thanks for paying your taxes.
We went to the Veterans Day parade, and we actually brought Pepper, our dog, this year, and I think that's a never again. Poor baby. I mean, she was fine. there was bands.
It was
and
the
stuff.
parades and the drums
Yeah.
and stuff were
It
kind of.
was
She was jumping
quite
every time a
loud.
bass hit.
There was
And she
another-
was like, "What's this noise?"
There was another little white dog that like they kept trying to sit down in a camping chair, and every time something would scare it, it would like flip backwards or fly out of the chair. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh gosh, take that dog away. But anyway, we had a good time. We did have Veterans Day off as a company. We might do a half day next year. We're debating, what that looks like, but definitely want to give people the time and you the time to go to the parade and enjoy it. But there was a lot of different clubs that came and were in the parade, and you were like, man, should we join some of these clubs? And
It's like,
there was the Hillbilly Club, there was the Veterans
Sons of Daughters
Club.
of American
Yes.
Revolution, the
It's all
VFW, Korean War.
And some, people looked like they were maybe of an older generation than we are, and some were like
No, they were way old, man. Like it was just like it was like a bunch of grandpas in these clubs, and you're thankful that they're doing that, right? And so
Absolutely,
as
and,
a
like, what a
veteran,
great
you
way.
sit there and you look at that and you go, holy shit, is that gonna be me?
It is going to
Like
be you,
is
100%.
am I gonna be
So he's
80?
already reached out to try to join.
No, but then this one game that was like SRQ vets, and it was like people our age.
Yeah.
And it was like a cool souped up truck and everything else. And I ended up seeing the gentleman at an event that night, totally not related to veterans. And they had a booth at this event, and so I shook his hand, and we're getting together in like a week or two.
Which will be amazing. I
to
shook
learn
my
more.
head, by the way,
I have a
everybody,
total ulterior motive. but-
about what that event was, which we're not going to get into. But
yeah, we're not going to get into that.
no,
event.
it was just sometimes you get a good networking event and sometimes you don't. And this was one
Yeah,
of
it was
those.
promoted as a
You'd-
network event, and it was something totally different.
doesn't
and
matter.
I pop smoke, so
Yeah.
I got out early.
Is that a saying? You pop smoke?
Yeah.
Like,
So,
I mean,
yeah.
he laughed, but like I've never heard that before.
Yeah. So like in the military,
Literally never
if you're
heard
going to
that before.
retreat or you're going to, go back.
Wow, this
you-
is great.
You
We
pop
were just
smoke.
talking about- okay.
So smoke is your screen, so they don't see you and where you're treating.
When you leave, it's
yeah,
just like
so you're
poof.
popping smoke. Like, hey, it's pop smoke. It means we're out of
Okay.
here.
It's like an Irish goodbye.
It's like an Irish goodbye. Yeah.
But
Trust me,
you're cool
if I,
and in
if
the
I had
military.
if I had a smoke grenade, I probably would have popped it there.
Oh,
and
don't say things like that.
I wouldn't have really done it. I'm just saying, for all my military bros out there, we would have popped smoke.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, we'll talk
All right,
to you
we're
next
popping smoke.
week.
See you later.
Popping smoke.